So, a major conflict suddenly erupts in the Middle East, and almost overnight, you can feel the shockwaves hitting the financial world. For India, the impact was immediate, it was dramatic, and it sent these powerful ripple effects straight through the stock market. Okay, let's dive right in and unpack exactly how a war thousands of miles away can hit your investments right here at home.
And this number, this pretty much tells the story of that initial panic. In just 1 week, as the conflict got worse, foreign investors yanked a staggering 22,630 crore rupees out of Indian stocks. I mean, that's a huge withdrawal, a massive vote of no confidence. So the big question is, why? What's the direct connection?
Well, the first and honestly the most critical ripple comes down to one thing: oil. You see, India is the world's third largest oil importer, which means our economy is incredibly sensitive to what happens with global prices. And this conflict, it strikes right at the heart of that vulnerability.
Now, this is the main channel for that shock. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. The best way to think about it is like a tiny, critical bottleneck that a massive amount of the world's energy supply has to squeeze through. So any disruption here, or even just the fear of a disruption, is enough to send prices through the roof.
And just how important is this little waterway? Well, get this: 20%, roughly 1/5 of the entire planet's oil and natural gas supply passes through this single strait every single day. So when this choke point is threatened, you better believe the entire global economy holds its breath.
Now, these charts do a great job of showing India's specific problem. You can see this huge shift happening between 2021 and 2025, right? Russia's suddenly a major supplier. That's some good diversification. But here's the catch, and this is the key point from SBI research. Even though India buys oil from over 40 different countries, about 40% of all of it still has to pass through that vulnerable Strait of Hormuz. You just can't get around it.
Okay, so when you have an oil shock this big, it definitely doesn't affect everyone equally. This second ripple immediately creates a sharp divide in the stock market. It starts sorting companies into two very clear groups: the winners and the losers.
So who gets hurt the most? Well, the list kinda makes sense when you think it through. Airlines get hit with a brutal 1-2 punch, pricier fuel and riskier flight paths. Paint companies, their raw materials are made from crude oil, so their costs just shot up. Even the companies that make everyday consumer goods get hit with higher costs for things like transportation and packaging. And of course, the big oil marketing companies, they get squeezed between paying more for crude oil and not being able to raise petrol prices too much at the pump.
But hey, on the flip side, some sectors actually see a potential upside in all this. The companies that actually produce oil, like ONGC, well, they benefit because they get to sell their crude at these new higher prices. Defense stocks get a boost because, geopolitical tension puts military readiness in the spotlight. Then you have IT and pharma, which are seen as defensive sectors. They're less tied to what's happening at home, and a weaker rupee actually helps them because their export earnings are worth more. And finally, you've got the classics: gold and silver. That's where investors rush to park their money when things get chaotic.
All right, so we've talked about oil, and we've broken down the specific sectors. Now let's zoom out for the third ripple: the impact on the big macroeconomic picture for India and how it affects the behavior of large investors. This quote here really gets to the heart of the matter. Foreign portfolio investors, or FPIs, they're staying away. And why wouldn't they? You've got higher risk, total uncertainty about the war, and a weakening rupee that eats into their profits when they convert back to dollars. So the bottom line is, the big foreign money is probably going to stay on the sidelines until the dust settles. And this table from SBI Research shows us the real, tangible economic cost of all this. Let's break it down. For every $10 increase in the price of a barrel of oil, India's GDP growth could fall by up to 0.3%, while inflation could climb by 0.35%. And look at that worst-case scenario. If oil hits $130 a barrel, our GDP growth could get slashed by over 1.2%. These are not small numbers we're talking about. So this whole risk-off environment, where investors are fleeing from stocks, leads to a pretty predictable outcome. They don't just sell and sit on cash. They move their capital into assets they think are safer. And that's exactly why we saw the price of gold jump up the minute this crisis started to get serious. Okay, I know, all of this sounds pretty bleak, but in moments of crisis and deep uncertainty, it's often really helpful to look back. So what does history tell us about how markets actually react to major geopolitical shocks like this one?
Well, according to an analysis by ICICT Direct, there's a very clear pattern. The initial reaction is almost always a sharp, painful drop. On average, this correction phase lasts about 4 weeks. But, and this is the crucial part, what happens next is what's really fascinating. Historically, these sharp drops have been followed by incredibly powerful rebounds. And here's the hard data to back that up. This looks at 6 major crises, from the Iraq War in the 90s all the way to the Russia-Ukraine conflict in 2022. On average, just 1 month after the initial shock, the Sensex was up 16%. 3 months later, it was up 27%. And get this, 6 months later, the average return was a massive 37%.
This chart just drives that point home. A 37% average gain 6 months after the panic started. It's a really powerful reminder that, historically, these periods of intense fear have often turned out to be amazing buying opportunities for investors who could keep a long-term perspective.
So the historical data is pretty compelling, isn't it? It tells a clear story of short-term pain followed by a strong recovery. But it also leaves us with that one ultimate question that every single investor has to ask themselves in a crisis. History suggests these moments are opportunities. But is this time different?